Welcome back, everyone, to Too Much Popcorn. That's right, we're back. Everybody asked for it, especially you, the listener. You all got together, signed the petition, and forced us back into doing this. It's been 2 years exactly, but me, Aaron, and
me, Jimmy,
are here to talk about one of our favorite things, and that's movies. We're going to talk about a movie. We're going to break down things that we liked about it, things that worked, things that didn't, and then ultimately we're going to come to a decision on if you should watch it.
Or not watch it.
That's right. And that is purely a statistical, numbers-based, no, it's just a yes or no. Do we think you should watch it? It's not based off of, is the movie good, is the movie bad? It's just, do we think it is something that is worth you, the listener's time? And this week, we are talking about the hit 2025 seminal film, Tron Ares.
I forgot you called
Jared
every
Leto's
film a hit. The hit!
The tip of the top, seminal film, never been done before. This one.
Tron Ares.
Tron Ares.
Tron Ares. Yes.
Yeah.
Was that just
Jared
2025?
Leto's Disney 2025, I think so.
Just a whole
year
ago.
As always, we don't do any preparation, and we kind of just guess at a lot of things.
The prep was we watched the movie. That's always been a part of how we go about this. We eat too much popcorn. We don't prep for the podcast. Those two things will remain true through 2026 and beyond.
To the future.
But yeah, Aaron, what'd you think of Tron Ares, starring our best friend, who I have in the other room? He's staying over. He brought up a sleeping bag. He's over here, and he's staying the night over. Jared Leto.
I know. I see him on the video behind you. He's standing behind you.
Oh, Jesus
greasy
Christ.
Hair. Yeah. Greasy hair, open eyes, non-blinking, as always.
Jared, you gotta go back to bed, dude. The sleeping bag, it's all set up. Yeah. Yeah, I'll buy more hair grease somewhere else.
Yeah. It's all over his pillow.
It's soaked in there. He handed it to me. It's disgusting.
It looks like a wet sponge. It's his pillow.
It's messed up that we had that. The main thing about Tron Ares, the takeaway that I had, is that you have to look at Jared Leto's hair for at least like an hour and a half. And that's torturous. I'm going to stay it right here for the camera.
You know what? That's a great point. Let's start there. Let's start with everybody's talking point about this movie. Jared Leto.
How do you not start with Jared Leto?
Yeah. Jared, what did you think about it? Good point.
It's muffled. He's going to bed. Okay, let him go.
Yeah. Just like the movie, he kind of just stands there and stares at us. He doesn't add any vocals.
It is the unblinking uncanniness of it. It's really the most upsetting.
I kind of wondered if he was doing like a Jim Caviezel, like Jesus non-blinking thing.
I think there was a sort of like, without saying it and saying it, a Jesus of Nazareth sort of vibe he was going for in terms of like your savior, your, friend and savior type in this film. Is very strange to see what type of character Jared Leto tried to build out of Ares. And to without spoiling too much, it is one of the most bizarre characters put to screen that I've seen in the past 20 to 25 years out there. It's not a good weird either. It's just a Jared Leto weird, and I think he tends to sort of take these characters that he's, someone gives him a writing note and he goes, "Oh yeah, this guy likes hacking people's computers and he's sort of like a program. That's cool. I'm going to totally play this as flat and boring as possible. And when I'm trying to be given human moments by the lackluster script, I'm going to completely fall on my ass in terms of trying to convey a human emotion to someone else on screen."
But dude, he loves Depeche Mode.
He loves him so much, he'll bring him up not once, but twice. And also to Jeff Bridges himself. Jeff Bridges just has to sit and listen to Jared Leto talk about Depeche Mode. That's like nightmare blunt rotation right there.
Yeah, that's the whole character arc, is that he doesn't have any emotion, and then he loves Depeche Mode.
And the thing that he likes about Depeche Mode is that he acknowledges that it's pithy and like self-aware pop. He likes that it's not Depeche Mode, aka Nine Inch Nails, but that we'll go into that later. I just
yeah.
Why is that the two takeaways? He's like, he likes Depeche Mode. He want to be a real boy.
I will admit, I think Jared Leto was a very interesting and possibly wrong choice for this role.
Actually wrong.
And I know. And like, that's the thing is like, and I said it when we started watching the movie, like, I personally don't have anything against the guy. He's never given me a reason to not like him, but he's also never given me a reason to like him. And this movie kind of reinforced that, where I was just like totally ambivalent towards him the whole time. But my only feeling from him and him playing this character was just like, why him? Why did he need to be the main character, arguably, for this movie?
Yeah, I mean, he put his own money. He put his wallet down and he said, "The movie's named after me, Tron Ares, and I'm the main guy." And everyone's like, other people are helping produce this, Jared. You don't have to really put your best foot forward here. And he goes, no. I'll stake an aspect of my wealth upon this movie that I will be the main character. And they're like, no, please don't do that.
Yeah, no, it just, and I think we also made that joke when we were watching it that I just was more and more convinced about, that on day one of recording this movie, they handed out the scripts, and they gave one script to him, and then they gave the other script to the other actor who was the guy who played Quicksilver in the new X-Men movies.
The Dillinger.
And the roles were supposed to be reversed. In this movie, the Quicksilver kid, he plays the bad guy, Dillinger, and then Jared Leto plays Tron Ares. And I think it was supposed to be the other way around, where the kid that plays Quicksilver is supposed to be Tron Ares, and then Jared Leto was supposed to be Dillinger, but the scripts got switched. And they opened it up, and Jared Leto instantly started reading. His lifeless eyes passed across the pages, and he read, and he said, "Oh, I get to be the good guy, do I?" And they were like, "Oh no, we messed up, but oh no, he's really invested already."
He's already doing a voice. Oh no.
Yeah. This is me, Tron Ares, is it? And then they're like, oh God, he's already finding his role. Oh, I love the 80s, and I love Depeche Mode. And they're like, oh, he's already building the character. We can't take it from him.
Oh, he's attached. And he's like, oh, I staked my money on it. I'm attached to this character, Tron Ares. Yeah.
This movie needs lots of visual effects, so I'm going to pay for all of it. And they were like, all right, bring it on.
If it gets made, it gets made. And they're like, but at what cost? But at what cost?
Yeah. Yeah. And so, like, I don't know. I want to say that he was trying his hardest, but I don't really get that, because I just didn't get any emotion from him. Which, again, is a weird choice for a main character. You want to have emotion, even if he is a program. You want to have someone that you can kind of, like, empathize with, but you just don't get that.
I think it goes back to sort of how the Tron since the beginning has been like, you're interacting with these programs have like a lesser nature to them, where it's like, they're built, they're 16-bit, they're only this, and then he's this state-of-the-art guy and the three things are Depeche Mode, he make a joke, and he want to be a real boy. It doesn't expand itself to anything where you're like, I think somebody else could have done something better with this role.
And then I thought it was weird too, because, even in the larger lore of Tron, like every time that a user has made a program, it's kind of made in their image. And like, they kind of like look like them or behave like them in some way. And it was kind of weird that it was like, okay, well, Dillinger made this Tron Ares program that does not look like him or act like him in any way. It was just this like AI nothing.
I almost wished it was just him. Like Flynn to Clue, it would make more sense if it was just Quicksilver in both roles. I would have honestly preferred that to what we did have to witness there with Jared Leto.
Yeah, and like I think that would have made sense and been kind of fun. And again, like there was plenty of other actors in this movie. I just don't see why they didn't go with anybody else.
Yes, it's hard not to focus on him, but I think it's also important to focus on the other actors in here. I do like Greta Lee as an actor. I know you haven't seen anything else that she's worked on. She was great in Past Lives, but I don't think she shines in this film. I don't think they allow her to do anything that really is impressive to any merit. I think she's given a lot of lines that are singular. What? Questioning what in the hell is going on in the film, and she is sort of the audience, surrogate in that way, where she's also like, what the hell's going on? And we're like, what is going on? And she's like, I don't know, I'm gonna figure it out though. I'm smart and up and coming, and I got the permanence code. And it's rough to see an actor that I did like. I was like, oh man, she's great. Let's see her pop off in this, and just be like, oh no, she was given literally nothing to work with.
Yeah, I know. And like I felt bad because I, especially with her being one of the main characters, like I wanted to like her, and it was nothing against her as an actor. I just was not vibing with her whole thing this whole movie, like, and I think that comes down to the script. And I think that's one of the biggest drawbacks to this film was that, like, the storyboarding was very cool. And they had a very cool idea for how the film would go and things that would happen in the film and things that you would look at in the film. But when it came down to the dialogue of things that needed to be said in this film, that is where it just, like, completely flopped. And I don't know who was in charge of the dialogue portion of the whole movie, but woof, man. Like her having that one line where she goes, what? And then there's 3 minutes of really cool stuff that happens, and then the next line that happens is what?
A different character saying what? Or was it even her again? It was baffling to be like, oh, I am having a visual feast put out in front of me, and I'm enjoying every little bit of it. I'm going, oh, light cycles. Oh, they're bumping up against each other in this huge metropolis, New York City type city, and whenever they pull out and you see a little light cycle snaking down a street somewhere, you're like, look at that shot. That's incredible. Piece de resistance over here. And then it zooms back in and you see someone's mouth open and you're like, oh no, I'm about to have it all ruined for me.
Yes. God, yeah. So many times. And that's the other part too. And, that we might be getting into spoiler territory here, but at one point Tron goes and he meets Flynn in a version of the Tron world. And like that whole conversation felt so forced of just like, hi, we are meeting each other and now we are friends. We are relating to each other. Ha 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 ha. Wow. We have so much in common and you are surprising me because you are a program.
It's almost doubly worse because the like harsh difference of the original Tron graphics to this like newfangled, like hugely detailed and everything, you're jarred into this reality and you're like, oh cool, like nostalgic, like look at the gradienting, and like it's very like obviously the homage to the original film and graphic style and everything. And then it butts up against this just nothing conversation with with Flynn and Ares just being like, bah, 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 bah. That's cool, man. And like literally nothing about that conversation has merit, because you're like, well, he has to get out. So like they're sort of just going through the motions. And the fact that it does all like the bit lights up this whole area, and they like really emphasize that they're like, look at how cool this 80s Tron inspired set is. And I'm like, none of this matters because you're making me focus upon how wet Jared Leto is. And he's just chatting it up with Jeff Bridges, and I don't even understand. Jeff, what are you doing here, man? And then he's like, oh, let me try and explain it just a little bit so that you don't really have to question it too much. But like, also not a real explanation, because if I give you any real explanation, then we'll have to really try and think about what we're doing in this film. And they just don't do it. They're just like, nah, we'll hit it. They'll go to 80s Tron. He'll do the Tron pose. He'll talk with the original Flynn, whether or not he program, impermanence, whatever. And then we'll get him out of there so that we don't have to think about it anymore. And you're like, okay, but kind of shitty what you did in here.
It was almost hand in hand with that other conversation that I pointed out, where Ares and Eve are in the car. They're going like 100 miles an hour down the road, and they're just having this conversation. And the whole conversation itself felt like the writers were like, okay, we need to have some reason for them to like trust each other and like each other. So we're going to like just ramrod this weird conversation in the middle of a weird scene. And it's going to be the most A-B conversation of just like, you've seen it in every other movie of like, oh, I heard this happened to you one time. Yes, that did happen to me, and it was very sad. Oh, well, I'm sorry that you are feeling sad, and you should acknowledge that I'm feeling empathetic towards you. Yes, I do acknowledge that you are feeling empathetic towards me, and therefore we are friends because we are getting together. And again, the same way that he interacted with Flynn was the same way that he was interacting with her. And it's not because he's a program, it's just because the script was so bad, where they were just like, okay, we need it to be believable that all of these people trust him. And so we're going to show that trust not through his actions or not through his words, but just because they had a conversation with him. And they're just hoping that you dissociate enough to just be like, okay, they've had a conversation, therefore they trust each other.
I was going to say, I had to fully dissociate from the car conversation for it to even pass. Like, for me to physically get through it, I was like, I have to depart for now.
Yeah. Because along with that too, like, I know there's times in movies where you just kind of have to like trust what's going on and just put, faith in like, oh, okay, well, this is just how it is because of the universe. But they kept doing that with the like character building and the character arcs. And I just can't do that when it comes to something that's supposed to be a narrative point for the movie, i.e., when they first met, she gets pulled into the Tron world. She meets him. He's still technically a bad guy at that point. Dillinger tells him, oh, you got to kill her and get the permanence code from her before you kill her. And then Tron like gets this like self-awareness where he's like, I'm not going to kill her. and like he goes up to her and he's like, do you trust me? And she's like, yes. Do you trust me? And he's like, yes. And then they're just like best friends after that for no reason.
Well, it was, I think for like previous context is like he felt rain one time and he really liked that. So that's like, that's his whole deal, I guess. Feeling rain, crazy. And then,
and he caught that firefly.
He caught a firefly and he said, that's doubly crazy, dude. Holy shit. Then B of that in the car conversation is the context is that he read all of her private text messages. All
her texts, yeah.
And like none of this building of the profile of her makes me feel good about him emotionally manipulating her to do what he wants. Like that's what it ends up feeling, which is why I have to dissociate, because I was like,
Yeah.
I'm literally like, he is fully puppet mastering this situation. There's no good outcome here because it just feels so bad that they're having a conversation at all and like looking at each other, and then I have to look in their eye line and they're looking at me, and I'm like, oh no, no, like get me out of this fucking car. It's literally the most like claustrophobic scene in the film. And like so little happens except that he talks about Depeche Mode, and they kind of like, you know, life is hard. Oh, death and stuff happens in life, and you're just like, shit, I want to strangle you both and throw you off the fucking bridge, dude. I can't stand it.
I know, it is kind of wild because he admits to her fully out in the open, yes, I read all of your private texts. And to me, if I was her, that would be a huge red flag.
Huge.
Because that'd be like if I logged into ChatGPT and ChatGPT gave me a notification that says, hey, I have access to all your emails, all your texts, and I understand exactly who you are as a person and like how you talk and all of these thoughts that you have. And I'd be like, cool, I am never going to trust anything you say because it's all now catered towards how to manipulate me.
That's what I'm saying. That alone, in terms of like, well, I know you deeply. You've shared deeply personal things with me via your private text messages to other people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you have not shared anything with each other. You directly stole her personal information and think that you're cool friends now. And I don't like that. She wasn't texting you. She was texting someone else, her dead sister. Who knows? It's fucked up that you know all this stuff. And yeah, there's no way to get through that scene without just being like, oh, I'm going to lose my mind. And that to me is partially bits and pieces of the movie lead me to that conclusion of an overarching theme of just like Jared Leto being a sort of creepy guy and using his powers to like, you know, get the things that he wants. And you're like, what is he going to do with his, you know, everlasting life if he achieves it? And you're like, well, I don't know. He's kind of a weird guy to begin with, so he could do anything.
Yeah.
It could be bad ultimately.
Yeah, she never got a chance to click yes on the EULA, the end user license agreement, and say like, yeah, you can have all my private data. He was just like, yeah, I have it.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to accept
And,
reject all the cookies? And she was like, I don't know. Can I select like only the like? And he's like, no, got them all. Perfect. Thanks.
Yeah, got him. Yeah.
Terrible.
And further, he never uses that any other way. Like, you know, they go to try and like fight back against Dillinger. Hey, man, maybe use that same power that you used to read all of her text messages to like read his and like do something there. Nah.
No, he used it to be like to become a jokey guy and be like, I can be friends with people in an elevator. Here's a fist bump, and I'll make a little joke.
Yes.
And that's like a whole 3/4 of his character is spent being like, I learned how to conversate with millennials, and generally they're sarcastic, and so I'm kind of gonna be sarcastic. So here we go. And then you're like, I fucking hate this.
I know. I'm glad you brought up the fist bump because when that happened, I remember going, oh, like.
It's also weird because he does it like a power fist, and then it's like he's doing it backwards, but he doesn't angle it backwards either. So it is just sort of
it's up in the air, and the other guy inferred like, oh, this is a fist bump.
It was friendly in someone's mind. But they're like, well, this is friendly, and I'm looking at him like he just is like doing a fist. It sucks.
It's like you have a friend who is definitely not a fist bump guy, who's like, I am now a fist bump guy. And you're like, oh, no, you're not. And please don't do that.
You weren't even ever a low five guy. And yet now you've committed to the fist bump. I hate this about you.
Yeah. And then what you said, too, about the millennials joking thing, like, that also hit really hard in this movie. And I will give it some credit there, where I think this movie did a good job of not falling into that like Marvel pitfall of like every other line has to be a joke. And I'll give it that, because I think too many movies are doing that now, where you're like, okay, this movie doesn't need to be a jokey joke movie, but every other line is trying to be a joke. But this movie did try a couple jokes, and boy howdy, did all of those jokes land so bad. They broke so bad. Oh man, her line where they're in the van, she does some like fast driving, and then she goes, I should have majored in English lit. It was like
you could have heard a pin drop after that scene.
Yeah.
But I loved when we were watching it, and you like deadpan are like, that was so funny. Like that killed me, because I was like, literally the least funny thing she could have said in this moment. Like, doesn't need to be comedy at all, but Aaron just literally being like, that was so funny. No laughing proceeding afterwards. It was so hysterical.
Dude, and I wish I had seen this movie in the theater, because I would have said that same thing that loud in the theater.
You would have like tapped me over and been like, that was funny over there. Loud enough where like other people would have like maybe shushed you. I do agree that would have happened.
Yeah, but oh man, I think hearing that in the theater would have been so good, because it would have just been dead silence.
God. Well, I think that's the thing, is you would have maybe had one English lit person go, huh.
Yeah. Oh, I've never driven a car fast. That's relatable.
That's me. That's me for
I know,
real.
and I also, there was one more joke that they tried that I'm now blanking on, because like it was that bad, where I think it was another time where I just said, that was funny.
Oh, God. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, it was when Flynn was talking to him and he said, you could say that again. He says the nutshell thing a second time. And you literally just go, oh, that was funny. That was also funny. And it wasn't. And none of us, we didn't laugh.
It wasn't.
But Jeff Bridges laughs in the movie. And he's like, that's funny. You know, very Jeff Bridgian in his way. But, yeah, wow. Absolutely not stunningly funny in this. But I do, to the credit, I forget this actor's name, but the comedy relief guy, you know, he's in The Cold.
Yeah.
He is that character. He's supposed to be like the lighthearted, like he's got the gumption. He you know, he makes breakfast burritos, and you know, he knows how to use a microwave, and like there's a lot of texture to that character, even though he is literally like shunted over to like, you're the funny guy. And I'm like, he's funny. He can pull it off. He can make me chuckle. But he's the comedic relief. Like, he's only that.
He's the comedic relief, and then he also falls in with the other two characters who were like they called them the CTO, and then just, I guess, his female assistant, which was weird.
Existing in this movie is weird, because she gets maybe one line, and I'm like, she maybe should have spoken a little bit more.
Yeah, she did not pass the Bechdel test, but you know, she's there. They had another female.
She's present.
As part of the contract, they had to have her.
Maybe Athena, one time, she looks over and she's like, hey, what's going on with you?
Yeah, let's talk about ourselves. But yeah, so it was like that whole group, they were like, okay, we exist to do things off screen that need to exist for the story to continue, i.e. uploading a virus or finding something in a database.
Deeply important plot points that they achieve
Yeah.
completely outside of basically the plot of the film.
Yeah.
That we see.
Oh, but you did bring up a good point. Athena, I liked her. I thought she was cool.
Oh, stellar.
And
fantastic.
Yeah. I wish we had gotten more of that. And, you know, hey, maybe they should have done Jared Leto as the good guy from the start, and then Athena as, like, the villain from the start. Because her as a villain, very believable.
Oh, yeah.
Very powerful.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Menacing. Terminator style with the running up the parking garage. Yeah. That moment seals it for me, where I was like, oh, she is, like, single-mindedly going to fuck you up.
With that too, so she flies her cool light plane into the building, and then she gets up and she's got the light rifle, and she was literally doing like a Terminator walk forward.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the way that they shot it with like an up angle on her, like gave the same like Terminator 1 walking through the police station vibes.
Absolutely.
And I was like, oh man, that worked really well.
That's true. Now that you mention that, yeah, because it was the full like the gun is huge, and she's wielding this just like huge, just like, and then it's the forward walk with just like purpose. She was incredible, like impeccable character work on her part. I think honestly top character in the film.
Yeah, very much so. And you know what else is top? Listening to ads. And so here's some ads from us to you. Wow, did I love listening to those ads. And you know what else I love listening to? The Nine Inch Nails soundtrack in this whole movie, man. Oh my gosh.
Trent, Atticus, the rest of the Nine Inch Nails team. Is it just those two now? I don't even know. Man.
Could not tell you. Were there 9 of them?
I thought it was just the nails. It's not even a whole person. If they only have 9 nails, they're missing a finger. Anyways.
Yeah, they're missing a finger, yeah.
Yeah, their work on this, what a way to segue into talking about the music. AKA, my favorite part about this movie is just the way that it sounds in general. And not to the credit, sound design, also pretty good.
Yeah, there were a couple moments where they had the drones flying around the city, and the drones were making this like low humming noise, and maybe it was the way it was coming through my headphones, but like it was hitting real good. But then they also did the recognizer flying through the city, and that had a cool like bass drum sound to it that as it was flying, that was in tandem with the song that was playing too. Oh,
that's what I was gonna say. Whenever they synced the sound design of the light cycles or drones or whatever with then the soundtrack, and it's hitting that like, I'm just like, I was vibing so fucking hard with that. It was so delightful to witness, to just bear witness to that combination of things where you're just like, oh, here's where the movie is. Like, this is it.
Yeah, and I think that is one of my like top favorite things that movies do sometimes, where they'll have that like in media res sound of a thing that goes in tandem with the like out media res of a song that's playing, and you don't even recognize it until you like go and listen to the soundtrack itself, and then that sound is not there, and you're like, oh man, it almost feels hollow now. Like but like when you're watching it, ooh, it hits so good.
Yeah, I think when a sound designer and if they're working with Nine Inch Nails to like combine these things together, and you like, I think, is it it's like a Batman film or like Inception or something, where there are those same just like very, I can't even think, it's probably Hans Zimmer a lot of the times, is just encompassing these like really, really loud noises into a film that then like fade into a soundtrack or like overlay it to some degree. And maybe it was even Tenet with like Ludwig. Like, I'm trying to think of just like the last film that I'm thinking, but it's like when the film and the soundtrack sync up to what happened in this film, and you get like musical sound and not just like the score. I love when that happens well.
I know what you're thinking of, and it's because I listen to that soundtrack so much. And it's the song on there, the 747, and it's the part in the movie where the plane is going. And there's a sound that the plane makes as it's rolling towards the hangar that works really well with the song that plays in the movie. But when you go and you listen to it in the soundtrack, it's not there, and it's like incredibly noticeable.
It's like that instrument is missing from the song.
Yeah, it's almost like they just took out a whole like violin or like cello, but it's just the plane.
It's just a plane
then when you watch
banking towards a building.
Yeah. Oh, but it works so well.
Yeah.
And they did that so many times in here, or they did that where like They would like spin the cool light staffs, and the sound that the light staff was making was like in sync with the
Oh yeah.
song.
Well, the light staff fully was like a like a wahing, sawing,
Yeah.
like just basic synth sound that they just like really amped up. And so when you do put it to the song, you're like, oh, there's like the weapon is doing a solo in a Nine Inch Nails song, and you're just like, fuck yeah, dude, that's sick as hell. I love that.
Yeah.
It's a deeply musical movie. There's a lot
Yes.
that the music brings to it, but also I think going like whenever a car like peels out, even the van that they steal originally has like a really crisp like when it pulls into the gas station. It's just very like tonally intense and good.
Yeah. And I think that was one of the things that I was worried about going into this movie. And one of the reasons I thought that the Nine Inch Nails soundtrack was not going to hold a candle to the Daft Punk soundtrack from the previous Tron was that, you know, I know Nine Inch Nails does the like slower songs, but even their slower songs still have like a certain intensity to them that I thought this soundtrack was going to be like all intense. And I was like, how are they going to like really bring in that slow emotional feel of a slower song? But man, they did it. And, you know, as I pointed out every song that came on when it happened, I also pointed out the one where when he's in Flynn's Tron world, they have this like slow, very synthetic orchestral song that's playing. And it's beautiful. And with the mix of the visuals that are happening and the like emotion that's happening between him getting this code from Flynn and all that, like the song just elevates it, and it did such a good job of not being like as intense, but actually just kind of like slowing down and emphasizing everything.
I think that's an extremely important example too, because it is the soundtrack and the film informing each other, where that song feels lower bit, like it feels like it belongs in the original, not in the original Tron, because that soundtrack is fucking bonkers and incredible in its own way, but it is like this again homage to the like I can't remember, it's like Wendy something, Wendy Carlos is I think maybe the original, I can't remember, but it's like those, you know, early 80s synth soundtracks, you know, like Marauder, like Giorgio, just like bonkers, like beep boop boop, beep bloop 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 bloop. When it's like that, and then you tweak it with that Nine Inch Nails sauce that gives it just this like texture and intricacy that really, it did sell an emotional thing. And again, you're like, well, I wish that the dialogue during the scene matched like the vibe that the soundtrack was trying to like give off.
Yeah. Oh, 100%, man. No, I definitely ate my words because of the soundtrack. You know, we texted before watching the movie, and, you know, I was like, I don't know, I'm sure the soundtrack will be good, but, like, there's no way it'll hold a candle to the Daft Punk soundtrack. Like, both you and I love that soundtrack so much. I can't tell you how many times we've listened to that one, and how, like, big we were when that, like, we listened to that entire soundtrack before that movie came out. I specifically remember that. I remember that night where, like, it dropped before the movie, and we were like, we're listening to this whole thing. And that first song came on, and Flynn goes, "The Grid." And we were just like, oh! You know, I have such a good memory of us listening to that, and, like, I still love that soundtrack. And for me to say, like, this soundtrack came close to being just as good as that one, I'm gonna say it. It was just as good as that one.
There we fucking go.
Oh, yeah, I did it.
He did it.
I'm sorry, boys, but I gotta say it.
Past
The Daft
versions
Punk
of ourselves
boys.
that are like, it couldn't possibly.
Yeah. Yeah. And the Daft Punk boys who were broken up because this soundtrack came out, and they're like, we know that Aaron's gonna love this just as much.
Trent and Atticus were just like, hey, Frenchies, check this out.
Yeah.
And then their fucking robot heads exploded. Oh my god. Yeah, dude, every track in this fucking soundtrack is top notch, incredible. That one that is again, there is something to Nine Inch Nails' intensity that they totally bring to this without going like too crazy in one direction or the other. But that one song, when they are like the infiltration song, that is the like server infiltration, to me is like
Yes.
quintessential, sounds like a Nine Inch Nails song, and then perfectly matches the visuals of what's going on. There's like a really, really good 30-minute section in this movie before you sort of like see Jared Leto's face, and it's sort of like in your in your face most of the time. And it's incredible visuals, banger soundtrack, and then like an interesting plot hook to get you like where you're trying to like imagine the possibilities of the film. That's where this film shines the strongest, and I wish it found a place for that hook to sort of like a different place to where the hook ended up. But that infiltration scene and the effect of him walking up into
the wall,
the stair
yeah.
wall data stream, and the camera does one smooth, just like disorienting swoop up to following him do it, and you're just like, he said he's going in, and he's going in.
He's going in.
And you're like, it's only a little upsetting that it's Jared Leto in that scene. That's all I can say.
Yeah, it was so clean, so smooth. I think also the scene where he's taking Eve and they're on the like water speed bike going across the water.
Oh yeah.
Again, I think the Nine Inch Nails soundtrack was perfect there because it brought that intensity to it, but it's not like the high tempo, high speed song that like most action movies would go with. Like it still has that like consistent beat that most Nine Inch Nails songs have, and it almost feels peaceful while being intense. And I think that kind of mirrored what was happening in the movie really well, where like Ares is this program who's built for war and, you know, infiltration. And so like, although it's a tense scene, he knows what he's doing. He's very peaceful at it. And I thought it worked really well to kind of just mirror the two things together.
I think it's even more impressive to bring up Legacy as this previous movie with the Daft Punk soundtrack, and think of the movement in that film where you do have like the overtures and Solar Sailor and like these big vast soundscapes that like they open up the film. And that's a lot of what Legacy was like, look at the vastness of the grid that exists now. It's like this huge thing that we don't even understand. And this film with the Nine Inch Nails perfectly narrows that focus back into Ares, his programming, 14 billion lines of code, who cares? It is one thing. It is like, it was one thing. And so for the Nine Inch Nails to have that consistency is a great pairing and mirroring of a character concept that, again, I wish worked better ultimately. But I think at its core, it is an incredibly bold and good move to have the soundtrack like be a character.
I also love that they made it their own, where you know, they didn't have to reference the soundtrack of Tron Legacy. Like there was no time that I was listening to it and I was like, oh, this is such and such song from Tron Legacy. It was all, this is their own thing. And I loved that it was their own thing.
Yeah, it was like maybe one callback, but it's like you can kind of call back to the original Tron in that way, where it's like this, you know, ethereal type film that existed anyways with its soundtrack and, you know, state-of-the-art computer graphics and stuff like this. And you're like, to see it evolve over time and have this now be the state-of-the-art VFX and, you know, newest Nine Inch Nails edition to the film legacy, not, you know, not using the term lightly, but legacy of Tron cinema is deeply important, because it's like, yeah, like, do you see what we are capable? ILM, Weta, these other VFX people
Dude.
putting their whole asses into some of the most impressively like believable, even though it is this like insane thing that is happening, which is another funny thing that we'll bring up. But it's like all of these light cycles and things existing in real life shouldn't look real, but it is sold in a very realistic way. That was it just so incredible and seamless to watch. I'm never going like, oh, the blue screen. Oh, what's happening in this scene? I can see the seam of, their cutout form. Never. I'm like, these are real vehicles that exist in LA now. Like, I don't know. I guess they have Tron in LA.
Yeah, I don't know how they figured out how to make a light cycle go 90 miles an hour down the freeway and then stop on a dime, but they did it.
They did it.
Because
real life.
That's purely the only way that could have happened.
It's a very believably good effect and scene. Like, again, it's seamless where you look at it and you go, whoa, how the fuck did they do that? And you're like, I guess it's just a VFX shot, but you're like, why does it look this good though? Is it because it's a nighttime shot? I don't really understand. How did they do it? It's crazy.
I know everything was like so crisp without it being like jarringly crisp like you see in a lot of like modern movies where it's like got that what they call it, the like Snapchat lighting. Where like, shit. It's all this ubiquitous, one lighting from all these multiple sources. No, this movie was like, hey, this is nighttime, but these things that are visual effects are going to look just crisp like they should, because it looks like they have come out of a computer into the real world. And one of the things I loved was that they were doing practical lighting to go in tandem with the special effects, where like the recognizer is like going by this window, and as it's going by the window, you're seeing the light of it on the window. Or as you're looking from inside the window out, you're seeing the light go through the room as it's flying by. And it's like, oh, that's such a nice detail. I love it so much.
There's an incredible observance of light in terms of that one scene with AJ where, they're just hacked by Dillinger and his whole light wall turns red and it's oppressively bright and like leaking into this scene and over this, like washing over this crowd and stuff. And you're like, those details that they pulled off at the scale that they did them, again, the recognizer in this huge city going around and like reflecting off of things, it was like incredible. And yeah, just a testament to the incredible VFX work in this film. And you had to watch all those names scroll by, and you're like, yeah, it's a miracle that the credits weren't even twice as long with how many VFX were going into this. It's crazy. It's so impressive.
Yeah, no, they did some incredible work, and I think that is just, you gotta see it to believe it.
Was that your is it too early for that, Aaron? Is the trailer enough to have seen, you're like, the shot from the trailer?
Yeah, you could look at the trailer, because there was definitely that one where it launched out all the drones, and there's just like 100 different light sources with all these light trails flying through the city, and doggy, like, oh, yeah. I'm watching it on a 16-inch laptop, and I'm like, oh my god, that's amazing.
I know, in theaters, that would have been, dude, imagine. That's the one thing where you're like, I want to go see something like that in the Sphere, where like it shoots by you or something. How cool would that be? You get little light cycles behind you.
Or even like, I was never a fan of most of 3D movies. There were a lot that didn't need to be 3D, but this one being 3D, I could get behind.
I think so. Yeah, there could be some fun. I mean, that's the thing is like texturally and light and like all these different assets that they were introducing in this film were so incredibly impressive to look at, and like you do kind of want to just be like, I want to touch that one. I want to touch that. I want to touch a light cycle.
Dude, they felt so real. It was so good.
Well, and it's like they clearly did do it. Like they made, they modded a fucking Kawasaki to be a fucking light cycle because she gets on it and then she's like, oh no, I'm in a light cycle.
Yeah.
It's an incredible feat to witness that type of thing. And then again, for the film to be like, remember this was the 80s one, and you're like, huh, yeah, that was quite different.
And I know. I like the way that the movie addressed things, and like the news. We talked about the news, where these newscasters are on there, and they're like, "Oh yes, and if you look into the sky tonight, there is a recognizer flying through the city." It was like, my man, this is insane, and you were talking about this as if it's just a normal Tuesday.
Yes, you all have played the famous NCOM video game featuring recognizers. Well, here they are in the beautiful sunny skies of Los Angeles.
Yeah. It'd be like if you turned on your nightly news, whatever news source you use, you turn it on, and they're just like, oh, yes, if you look up in the sky, there's a halo orbiting above New York City. And
and Godzilla.
Also,
Godzilla down fifth. Yeah. Crazy.
And we'll cut to the news. And by the news, I mean the weather.
And then they cut to sports, and sports are totally normal. Nothing affected. And they're like, also... yeah. The football field today exploded. Some crazy guy in a fur coat came in. Yeah, the amount, and that is the thing that I think it's important that we bring it up, is the amount of times that the filmmakers choose to specifically highlight that the news is being reported is part of the film. Like, a part of what they are trying to convey to you is that a lot of people know about this, that it's happening. They don't even understand. One of the lines was like, it's speculated that it's this fucking huge AI tech company. And it's like, yeah, who else is doing it? It's like, could be China. And it's like, no, what do you mean?
Yeah.
This is on
we
U.S.
all saw
soil.
The trails from the light cycles coming from... They're coming from Microsoft. We can see it.
It's literally like if light cycles drove off the fucking Microsoft campus and then they're like, yeah. What's Sony doing? What is Sony doing? Who could have done this? Was this Sony's thought? Was this Sony? Somebody call up Mr. Sony.
This must be Nabisco.
It's so funny because it is like, yeah, in this weird future that they have created, infinite energy, creating basically they've created life to some extent, even before the rest of the film happens. There's sort of a unwritten rule that if you're a big tech company, you probably have a compound somewhere where you're doing things that other people. It's not even that you're releasing a video game that you don't want people to leak. You're releasing possibly a virus or some sort of dangerous thing that could ruin the future.
I didn't mention it, but now I'm thinking about it. I did think it was hilarious how Incom is essentially EA, right? They're making video games. And then you have Dillinger's company, which is essentially Lockheed Martin, that's making
straight up
weapons. And for those two to be like, we're active competitors.
What was Dillinger doing before? I thought they were always weapons systems and stuff. Were they not? Cybersecurity the whole time? I swear to God, they were like McAfee the whole time. And then they're like...
And at least in this movie, they were the whole time.
I swear, there was a more cohesive narrative to what Dillinger's whole deal was into why it made sense. Because they do the whole news thing at the beginning where it's like, oh, Encom and Dillinger the whole time. Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, are those two boards just maybe butting heads? But they also don't really know what's going on. And Encom is also so big. The video games are so big that they have global sway, so you're like, oh, everyone's our technical enemy. I don't know, it's crazy. I
just love to imagine a game world or a world where EA is at the Video Game Awards, and Jeff Keighley's up there, and he's talking about, oh, EA's putting out this new game, and then Lockheed Martin comes in and they're like, shut it down, shut it all down.
Like so calm, fucking like black helicopter people come in and they're like, "We get the fuck out of here. We're taking your CTO today."
Yeah. You'll never release Sims 5 and
that. And then everyone's like, "Well, why did Lockheed Martin do this?" And it's like, "Well, EA was secretly also trying to make a big gun."
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah. Yeah. They wanted to figure out how to make life, and Lockheed Martin was making Tomahawk missiles out of light, and everybody's just like, okay.
It is a bonkers plot point to center the entire narrative of an enemy, of an adversarial just base of people, just be like, this guy really doesn't like this fucking video game company.
Yeah.
He thinks they're really smart, and that they're way too big for their britches, and he's gonna literally take down their servers with a file.
Yeah.
Which again, both companies totally. There needs to be an additional layer of security there, because they're like, I'm in. And then it's like, what does that mean? It's like, well, I'm not only sending and receiving files. When I send something, they have no way of blocking it. And then it's like, does it go both ways? And it's like, yeah, if they send something to us, we'll accept it totally. And it's a big bomb. And they're like, oh, great.
Yeah. Oh, also, when something gets in there, it's going to actively trip so that we know it's in there. But once it's in there, oh boy, is it in there. There's nothing we can do about that. Yeah.
We'll put some programs onto it. But remember, the programs are kind of like people, so they'll fight it out. And then their program might just be better. And it's like, shut it down. Shut it all down. Yeah, you're going about this the wrong way. I just don't know how to tell you how to run your business, but it's not this way.
Yeah.
Bonkers.
Well, is it that time? Do we come to a conclusion?
Did we come? God, I mean, do you think so, Aaron? Have you selected? What do we do again? Is it watch and not watch? Or are these the two options of our popcorning adventures?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately it comes down to us just saying, for you folks, if we think that you should watch it or not watch it. And again, that doesn't mean if it's a good movie, because there's plenty of good movies that I think you shouldn't watch, and there's plenty of bad movies that I think you should watch. And so that's our whole idea, and that's what we want to convey to you. So, Jimmy, do you think that the folks at home should watch this movie?
I've got it. Okay. I understand. I'm sorry, I'm a little rusty here. Put some oil.
It's been 2 years.
It's been 2 years. I really got to figure out how to flex this opinion of mine again.
We've watched a lot of movies in that time, but haven't talked about them at all. We just watch them and then don't talk at all.
We just silently keep our opinions to ourselves.
Yes.
Which honestly, maybe could keep doing. Anyways, at least once a month, perhaps, for the rest of the year, you'll hear about this from us. We'll see how it goes. But again, it is subjective, and it actually does end up being like, do you care about our opinions? Whose opinion do you care about more? If one of us tells you to watch it and the other tells us not to watch it, and then you go watch it, do you like that person more because anyways? Bring it to the comments. Bring it to the comments.
Yeah.
Whose opinion do you trust more in terms of an experiential film? Anyways, I'm going to say, for me, this is a not watch. I'm going to say, unfortunately, despite there being an incredible soundtrack and visual appeal to this, that I will, of course, want to return to many times, thankfully, that soundtrack is available on many streaming services and even to buy on CD and record. So I get to experience the Nine Inch Nails soundtrack for Tron Ares whenever I want. And if I want, maybe somebody's going to make like a Tron Ares visualizer, and it'll be all the light cycles and stuff, and it'll go with the music, and it'll be an incredible visual audio experience that will be much better than this film that I have now had to sit through 2 times. So what do you
And
think,
thank you for
Aaron?
doing that.
For you, is it a watch or a not watch?
Well, being that this was my first time watching it, I went in with, brand new eyes. And, I fully went into this movie expecting to hate it. I thought I was not going to like this movie one bit. I thought it was going to be most of, like the new movies that are put out nowadays where it's written by AI and it's produced by AI and it's just AI slop.
Half true.
But I ended up liking a lot about this movie. Like we said, loved the soundtrack. I loved the visuals. The crazy concept of Lockheed Martin versus EA, I kind of thought was funny. But at the end of the day, I'm going to say that this movie is a not watch. The script of the people's dialogue with each other was enough of a detractant that I don't think there's enough there to really contribute to anybody. And further, I think, like you said, right, the two things that I would want people to experience out of this are the soundtrack and the visuals. And for the soundtrack, hop on Spotify, go listen to it, 1,000 times, go listen to the Tron Legacy soundtrack, and then go listen to the new one again. Go do that, because that needs to be experienced. And then for the visuals, that needs to be experienced too. But I don't know, hop on YouTube and go over to Corridor Digital, and they've probably done a breakdown on it by now. And I think, they would do enough service to it to like break down what makes it great and what makes it not great. Go experience that there. That way you can get a taste of what happened in the movie. But for the most part, you don't need to experience the whole movie itself. There just wasn't enough there to make it worth a watch, in my opinion.
I think it's funny. We did spend like 10 minutes being like, movie sound design impacts the soundtrack. And we're like, don't watch the movie.
Yeah. Just go listen to the soundtrack.
And we're like, it's a completely different experience. And it's like, while it is, the experience, I think, is not diminished by the lack. In this instance, I before watching the film, I listened to the entire soundtrack when it dropped, and I was like, because that was what made me want to watch the film in the first place. As I listened to the full soundtrack, and I said, damn, they were fucking cooking here. What visuals are they gonna throw into my brain box for this? And then they threw in the movie, and I was like, oh, okay, well, at least the soundtrack is still here. So yeah.
And see, I experienced both in tandem together for the first time. But again, like I just said a few minutes ago, the two things that make it worth it are the visuals and the soundtrack, and you can just go find them somewhere else.
And I mean, I've watched it twice. I can fully say it's like, hey, you wanted to watch this film, and the fact that I was willing to watch it again was because you hadn't listened to the soundtrack or seen it. And so I'm like, if anything, you're gonna appreciate the soundtrack. I knew going in, I was like, this is gonna hit because it hit so hard for me. And so when each track comes in and you're just like, oh, it's a new song. I was like, fuck yeah. I felt so vindicated because I was like, they slap. They're so good. I'm gonna throw this back on, for weeks and weeks and weeks. I'm just gonna be devouring the soundtrack over and over and over again.
Absolutely. You know what I'm doing after we finished listening to this and doing this? I'm listening to that for the rest of the night.
You're gonna add this onto your going on a plane soundtrack, and
Yep.
It'll be Tenet and Tron Ares soundtrack. It's gonna be great. Well, that does it.
It does.
First of
we
the
did
year.
it, and we did it for you.
Do they expect more? Should they?
No, we've contractually done what the thing that they signed said that we had to do. So we've done it.
In January every 2 years, we're forced to turn on a microphone and be like, "Oh, hello."
No, we joke, but ultimately we enjoy doing this. And if you're out there and you're listening, we hope that you enjoy listening to us too, and that you take something away from this. You don't have to agree with our opinions, because at the end of the day, it's just opinions. That's why we don't put a number to things. It's difficult to quantify things. I can say a movie's a 10 out of 10, but what does that mean? So that's why we like to offer our opinion on if we think somebody might enjoy a movie or not. And so I don't know. I just miss doing this, and I think you miss doing this too. And it's nice to get back behind the microphone and, chit chat about why we either like or don't like movies.
Yeah, I'm always down. You know this about me, so you know I'm here for it. And I will say, quantifiably for this film, I did give it a 2 out of 5. So,
Yeah.
having watched it before, I've quantified how I think, what I think about it, and I will again. I'll maybe it's changed on a second viewing. We'll see. We'll see if I have the same review. But anyways,
Yeah.
that's just how that goes for me. But yeah, thanks so much for listening if you made it this far, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, look out for future episodes. We hope to be doing it once a month. And if we don't, sign a petition. Make us do it.
or sign a petition to force us to sign up for a Patreon, and then you pay us to do it. But you need the petition.
And then lock us in a little Tron world.
Send us to a little Tron world, and then we won't be able to sort of output audio from there. So,
yeah. But we will be able to output Jared Leto. So get ready for a lot of Jared Leto.
A lot of Jared Leto. Permanently, every 29 minutes, you'll see a new Jared Leto pop up somewhere.
Yeah.
He'll be in Mexico. He'll be, he'll hit all the spots.
In a jungle, studying spiders.
Studying spiders, turning into vampires, clock tower. I don't know. Joker. He was Joker once.
He was.
He was Joker. See? And that's why I don't like him. Because what I heard is he traumatized. He was the jerker.
No. Hey, we saved that for a different
He
episode.
was the jerker. All right, next time. Too much popcorn. Bye.
Bye.